every single day. Without even realizing it, you might be doing something that is quietly shaping your baby's brain in the wrong way. And the worst part? It doesn't look harmful. It looks normal. It looks like love. Babies don't understand words the way you think they do. They don't analyze logic. They don't wait until later. What they do is absorb. Every tone, every reaction, every moment of attention or absence. And those tiny moments, they don't stay small. They become patterns. And those patterns become their emotional blueprint. So today, we're going to uncover 5 everyday things that seem harmless, but can quietly hurt your baby more than you think. And number 1 is something almost every parent does. Your baby starts crying. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a soft discomfort, a small signal. And you think, it's nothing, they'll be fine. They need to learn. But here's what's really happening inside your baby's brain. That small emotion, to them, it's not small. It's their entire world in that moment. When that feeling is ignored, repeatedly, your baby doesn't learn to be strong. They learn something else. They learn that their emotions don't matter. A baby's brain is wiring itself in real time. Every time you respond or don't respond, you're teaching their brain, am I safe to feel? Or should I suppress this? And over time, ignored emotions don't disappear. They get buried. And what happens next is something most parents completely misunderstand. Because the second mistake, it doesn't just ignore your baby, it confuses them. The second mistake is something that feels harmless, but to your baby, it creates confusion, mixed signals. Now imagine this. You're talking to your baby, your voice sounds calm, gentle, reassuring, but your face? Tense, distracted, somewhere else. Or you smile, but your eyes don't match it. To you, it means nothing, but to your baby, it changes everything because your baby doesn't understand your words. They understand patterns. They're constantly asking, is this safe? Is this calm? Can I relax? And when your signals don't match, their brain doesn't know what to trust, so it hesitates. That hesitation is confusion. And when it happens often enough, your baby doesn't feel clarity, they feel unpredictability. Now here's the part most people miss. This doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means your baby is extremely sensitive to what's real. Not what you say, but what you feel. And that's what they learn from. Now here's the third mistake, and this one might surprise you. Overstimulation. Because we live in a world where more is always better, more toys, more sounds, more interaction, more stimulation. And it looks positive. It looks like learning. It looks like development. But your baby's brain is not built for constant input. Now imagine this. Lights, sounds, movement, voices, all happening without pause. Your baby isn't just watching, they're processing every second. And at some point, it becomes too much. But here's the problem. They can't tell you that. They don't say, I need a break. Instead, they get fussy. They turn away. They tense up. They lose focus. And it's easy to misread that, to think they need more distraction, more stimulation, more input. But what they actually need is less. Because when the brain is overwhelmed, it doesn't learn better, it learns worse. And over time, constant overstimulation doesn't create development, it creates stress. And the next mistake? It's even more subtle and even more common. The fourth mistake is one that doesn't look harmful at all. In fact, it often looks like you're doing the right thing, rushing to fix everything. Now imagine this. Your baby gets frustrated. They try to reach something and fail. They make a sound. Their body tenses. They try again and again, and then they get upset. And your instinct is immediate. You step in. You help. You give them the object. You remove the struggle, because you don't want them to feel bad. You don't want them to be uncomfortable. You want to help. And that feels like love. But here's what's happening underneath. Your baby wasn't just trying to get the object. They were trying to figure something out. How their body works. How movement connects to results. How effort turns into success. And that process needs time. It needs space. It needs small moments of struggle, because that's where learning happens. Now imagine if every time they struggle, the moment disappears. The solution appears instantly. The difficulty is removed. Your baby gets the result, but not the understanding. They don't experience the attempt, the adjustment, the discovery. And slowly, something changes. They stop trying as much. They wait more. They depend more. Not because they're lazy, but because the process was taken away. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore them. It doesn't mean you leave them frustrated. It means you pause, you observe, you give them a moment to try, and then you support. Not before the effort, but after it begins. Because confidence doesn't come from things being easy. It comes from figuring things out. Now here's the fifth mistake, and this one is the most subtle of all. Inconsistency. Not in love, not in care, but in response. Now imagine this. One day, your baby cries, and you respond immediately, softly, calmly, consistently. The next day, you're tired, distracted, busy, and your response changes. Not intentionally, just slightly. A delay, a different tone, a different energy. Now imagine that happening again and again in small ways. What does your baby learn from that? Not that you don't care, but that the response is unpredictable. And when something is unpredictable, the brain doesn't relax. It stays alert. It watches. It tries to figure out what will happen next. And over time, that creates tension. Not visible on the outside, but real on the inside. Because your baby is constantly building expectations, not with thoughts, but with patterns. If I feel this, what happens next? If I cry, what will I get? If I reach, who will respond? And when those patterns are inconsistent, their system doesn't settle. It stays uncertain. Now here's the part most people don't realize. This doesn't mean you need to be perfect. That's impossible. What matters is what happens most of the time. The general pattern, the overall rhythm. Because that's what your baby builds from. Not isolated moments, but repeated ones. And when you understand that, you stop trying to control everything and start focusing on what actually matters. Consistency in connection. Consistency in presence. Consistency in how you come back. Because your baby is not looking for perfection. They're looking for something they can recognize, something they can trust. And once that's there, everything else becomes easier. Because what looks like small moments is actually shaping something much bigger. Now, when you step back and look at all of this, something becomes very clear. Most of the things that shape your baby's brain don't look dangerous. They look normal. Ignoring a small emotion, smiling when you don't feel it, adding more stimulation, fixing things too quickly, being slightly inconsistent. None of these feel like harm, but your baby doesn't experience them the way you do. They don't see intention. They feel patterns, and those patterns become their reality. Now imagine this: a world where emotions are sometimes heard and sometimes not. A world where signals don't always match. A world that feels overwhelming at times and unpredictable at others. Your baby doesn't analyze that world. They adapt to it, quietly, automatically. And that adaptation is what shapes how they feel, not just today, but later. Now here's what changes everything. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to control every moment. You don't need to get everything right. What matters is what happens most of the time. The pattern, the rhythm, the way you respond again and again and again. Because your baby isn't building their understanding from single moments. They're building it from what repeats, from what feels consistent, from what they can recognize. And that means something important. Small changes matter, not big dramatic ones, small ones. The way you pause before reacting, the way you stay present, the way you allow a moment to happen instead of rushing to change it. Because those small moments, they don't disappear, they accumulate. And over time, they shape something much bigger, a sense of safety, a sense of connection, a sense of how the world works. Now imagine the next time something happens, a cry, a reaction, a moment of discomfort. Instead of trying to fix it instantly, you notice it, you stay present, you respond with intention. And that changes the entire experience, not just for your baby, but for you. Because understanding replaces confusion, and connection replaces reaction. And that's where everything begins to shift. If this made you see those small moments differently, subscribe. Because sometimes the things we overlook are the things that matter the most.